It's time to start thinking about fall. For those growers planning on winter wheat, Soil Biotics Organic 1R seed treatment can be applied to organic winter wheat seed for increased germination and better stands. We have seen results of as many as 5,000 more live plants per acre. For your post-harvest residue digestion and soil maintenance program, Soil Biotics SB 5500 is the answer. It contains beneficial microorganisms that degrade dead plant tissue, converting it to valuable organic matter and reducing disease and insect pressure. See their entire lineup at soilbiotics.com.
So out here in Oregon now, we have gotten to the part of summer that's always dry, and we are now working on 8 weeks without a drop of rain, which, you know, irrigation is really a necessity to keep things green and growing right now. So that's the portion of the season. You know, we're kind of winding down on any harvest of our grass and clover baleages. We have a cut on two last fields, a fourth. No, we'll have a fifth cut as well, because we're doing about a 30-day cycle on cut. So we're just winding down on that, getting our lagoon all cleaned out for wintertime, and kind of cruising on into the fall mode, because even though it's going to be 100 degrees this weekend, fall is not far behind here. And so we're just in that mode. Oregon's always, every year we have 8 to 10 to 12 weeks where we get zero precipitation, and we're holding true to that this year again. So cows are still milking pretty well. Grass is still, you know, we've got our irrigation going, and doing a good job keeping feed out ahead of the cows. We're sitting on about a 36-day rotation now. Our sorghum sedan came in, and we've grazed it twice, and we're, you know, watering it back now, and we'll be grazing it again in about another 13 days. We're about on a 16-day round on that sorghum sedan, and we'll graze it twice more, and then we'll be putting that back into permanent pasture. So that's really what's happening in Oregon and on the West Coast right now. We're just in that summer dry.
Mm-hmm. On your irrigation, you said 12 weeks. Is that about what you need the irrigation for? Is that 12-week period?
Yeah, pretty much. So this year we were fortunate and didn't have to start it till mid-June, which is really pretty late. But we'll go mid-June through depending on whether we get some rain. If we get a nice early rain in September, we can usually start turning things off. We have to have the water has to be turned off by the 1st of October anyway. That's the rules. And so we're usually we're always hoping we get a rain in September where we can just kind of quit chasing our tail and irrigating, because if we've done a good job keeping things moist through the summertime, you know, you get into September, late September, those days start getting a lot shorter and cooler at night, and the moisture wicks back up, so you really don't need to keep throwing water, especially if you just get one or two nice showers. You know, sometimes we can get a nice inch rain. First of September, we call it the state fair rain, because that's when the state fair is always going on, except for this year. So I don't know what we'll call it if it rains this year, but yeah. So that's it's usually 12 to 14, at worst case 16 weeks of irrigation.
Mm-hmm. And now sorghum sedan doesn't need the water that like a corn crop does, but does it still take quite a bit of irrigation?
We water it once in between grazings. So, you know, the pasture fields get watered twice in between grazings. But the sorghum Sudan, we only give it half, half as much. So one pull through. It turns out when sorghum Sudan's really growing during the heat, you can't pull the K line through it twice anyway, because you start just knocking it all down and breaking your K line and everything, because the stuff gets so tall so fast.
And how much, when you say one application, how much rain would that, or how much water would that be?
Close to 2 inches. Close to 2 inches of moisture goes on in a set. So the sorghum Sudan's getting 2 inches in between grazings, and that seems way adequate. It does just fine with that.
Mm-hmm. And your production stayed pretty strong so far through the summer?
Oh yeah, we've been holding production really well, but we really focus on putting a lot of forage. That's the one thing irrigation allows us to do. It allows us to keep our forage relatively stable through the whole season. Mm-hmm. And so we don't go through a summer slump, because we're keeping the grasses growing. Mm-hmm. And then we use our lagoon water as needed. If we see a field that's looking like it's struggling a little bit, we'll put some lagoon water on it to get a little more fertility in there. Most of our fields, we don't need that anymore, so we concentrate our lagoon water on our hay fields instead of our milk cow feed fields, because we've been rotationally grazing for 28 years. There's quite a bit of fertility built up in our ground.
Well, Jon, thank you so much for taking the time here to give us an update, and I really appreciate it.
Hello, everyone. Sam Dobson from North Carolina, down here in the southeast. Hope everybody out there is doing well. Month of August has been extremely hot here in the south. We're coming off a really dry, hot July with temperatures daily in the 90s and lows in the mid-upper 70s with no rain. And that is yielded off to hot is still and muggy and humid, but rain every day. So now we're really wet, and but we still got the temperatures, which is tough on the cows. It's been a really rough summer on the cows. Trying to keep them cool has been a challenge. Milk production has been higher than I would expect. We've had enough rain to keep some good grazing going at night with our summer annuals, the Sudexes and Sudans and crabgrass and clover and things like that. So we've been pretty well. We're ready to start cutting corn, and when we roll into the September episode, I'll have some good yield reports on our no-till corn versus our corn where we did tillage, as well as sorghum and cowpeas. We both had no-till as well as tillage on that as well. Both crops look really good. I would say that the tillage corn has got ahead of the no-till corn a little bit as far as size, and I think going to have a little more ear. But I look forward to kind of getting the data on tonnage, and maybe we can figure out some bushels as acre as well to compare notes to see if it was, if it was worth the extra cost to get it there. So we're really excited about that. Both crops look pretty good. The no-till corn did have a little less rain than the other, but at the same time, it did have those oats. It had to compete early on, so that knocked it back just a little bit. But we're going to be okay. And same with the sorghum. The sorghum and cowpeas, definitely where we did tillage, is quite a bit better than the no-till as far as that goes. But the crops are overall pretty strong, and hopefully we can, I hate to say this, but I hope we can dry it just a little bit so we can get in the field and get it harvested, and then we can get our winter annuals in, and then it can start raining again. So I still want that job to control the weather. I haven't got it yet, but I'm working on it. And that just about sums it up. School starts back down here in the south this coming week. They're going to give it a shot a couple of days a week. Still a lot of coronavirus in our part of the world. And, we'll see. we'll see what happens. I think the next couple of weeks will really tell a big story on where we are, how far we've come, and how far we've got to go. So that about sums it up down here for right now.
So, Sam, when do you start chopping corn?
Well, you know, when we were conventional, we used to always plant first week April, and we usually were harvesting by the 1st of August. Now we're, you know, that no-till corn we got in the ground about the second week of May, and it's ready to harvest now. Usually, you know, we plant a lot of varieties. It's going to be about 100-day corn. So we'll usually crank up around right now, end August, mid-August. I was actually in East North Carolina the other day. They've been shelling corn for over a week now, shelling corn. So they always start planting in mid-March. But, you know, our later corn we planted in 1st of June, and it's still got another 3 weeks. So, you know, we consider silage season late August through September down here. And sometimes we'll dip into October, but we try to have it knocked out by the end of September.
Mm-hmm. And then you go in with an annual after your silage crop, or what do you put in after that?
We do, depending on the amount of feed we have available going into winter. Normally we'll come back in with either a cover crop, like a rye, crimson clover, vetch, maybe some small grain, oats usually, and a cover crop sometimes. Or we'll come back in with wheat or triticale, something we can make baleage or silage on in the spring. And in years where we're maybe not happy where we are with our feed inventory, as soon as we cut that corn, we'll come back in with like an everleaf oats or like a fall oat, and we can plant that now or as soon as we take the corn off, and usually harvest it around Thanksgiving and get some pretty good tonnage. This year and we've done that about 3 years in a row, and this year we're going to be pretty strong on feed inventory. I may plant 15 or 20 acres just to kind of have an insurance policy, but we should be, tonnage-wise anyway, we should be the best we've been in probably 5 years as far as feed inventory. But at the same time, if we don't dry up and start harvesting pretty quick, we're going to start losing quality, and that could factor in as well. So.
Mm-hmm. How many tons of corn silage do you want to put up a year?
We do around 600 tons here at the farm, and then we'll do another, usually about 300 or 400 tons of sorghum silage as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Good. And your overall feed quality for the year, you would think it was poor, average, or above average so far?
I'd say up to this point, above average. We've done really well. I've made 4 cuttings of good orchard grass, red clover. We had some really good ryegrass, triticale, wheat. We've saved a lot of that for some really high protein, high energy feed that we'll mix in the corn silage this fall. I hit 200 RFQ on some of my winter annuals or spring annuals this year and I was really excited about that because I don't think I've ever done that. And a lot of it's just timing it right to maximize that digestibility. But, you know, we had a lot of feed that was 20% protein, you know, great ADF, NDF, very low lignin, and that stuff. We've got a good inventory of that going into winter, so I'm excited about that. And we've done well with our hay, but looking into these, you know, well, hopefully we'll get this next wave of crops in pretty soon because I can already tell with our sorghum especially, soft dough, and we haven't done that in a few years. We get more milk cutting it into grain sorghum, but looks like the way the weather is, we're going to have to cut it grain sorghum this year.
Well, this is John. I'm from Lancaster, Wisconsin, and I guess since the last time we talked, the weather's been really good. We did get a little dry around the middle of July, I guess, and it didn't really rain until about 2 weeks and a half ago, so we went almost 3.5 weeks without any rain. So my third crop suffered a little bit for tonnage-wise. Got it up good quality, no rain on it. Made some dry hay. Got my 150 acres of oats combined, and that ran pretty decent. I haven't figured out yield yet, but it filled up by 3,500 bushel bins. So and then we made a bunch of big squares of straw, nice and dry. So that turned out really well. We did do oat ridge. I don't remember if I talked about that the last time or not, but we put up a 500-foot bag of oat ridge. We just had a lot of seed and kill out this spring, so we did oat ridge to kind of give me some forage to feed this winter. We just finished up almost all of my third crop. I got one more farm to do, and that's looking a little pretty good, but it's behind for maturity wise. We're going to have a lot of heat in the first part of August, and so it slowed it down just a little bit. My corn was all roasting ewes. I'm guessing we'll probably be chopping corn silage around the first or second week of September, I'm guessing. But otherwise, everything looks good there. I got a lot of stalks with 2 years on it, which sometimes isn't always a good thing, but pretty impressive. I guess moisture-wise, we just got 2.5 inches of rain, like I said, about a week and a half ago. Pretty much the only rain we've had for about a month. So it was very well needed, and my paddocks and grazing has not come to a complete stop, but it definitely is. We're rotating them through faster than I would like, so that rain really helped.
Now, John, you said your corn is looking really good?
It is. There's a few weeds in it, or grass come in, because when we first planted it, it was fairly wet. So we do got a little bit more grass in it than I normally have, but for the most part, my ears are all starting to fill out, and it looks like it could be a pretty good crop this year.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of tonnage are you expecting on corn silage?
We run average probably around 20 tons the acre. I've hit as high as 30 tons the acre, so if I get anywhere from 17 to 24, I'm really happy. And this year looks like it's going to be probably in that low to mid 20s.
Mm-hmm. To shift gears a little bit, how have the flies been on the cows? And another question, have you had any pink eye issues?
Yeah, so I think we had talked about this earlier, but early on in the summer, there was no flies, and I was thinking this is awesome. And then they come in, and yeah, they've been a wrecking to deal with. It's been kind of crazy. We've had pink eye like I've never seen it before, and luckily we've been using some moon spray from Dr. Paul, and that's actually been clearing them up. I had one that come in off pasture. We try to keep an eye on them, but there's a couple pastures that we have a little further away from my dry cows and heifers, and we had a cow come up completely white in one eye and starting a spot in the other, and we started treating her with that wound spray, and by golly, I think she's seeing out of both eyes. So, but yeah, we've had probably one of my worst years of pink eye. We've been feeding some vitamin E, and Oh, I don't remember what else we put in there to help with that. And then also a little bit of iodine to help with the flies, and garlic, just trying to keep flies away from their eyes. But it is starting to subside a little, thankfully. But
Yeah, what I noticed here was I had pink eye in my steers, which I have Herefords, and Herefords are susceptible, but they were so wild I couldn't get up to them. And then we had 4 cloudy days in a row, and it cleared right up. This bright sunshine is so hard on them. So usually I'm not asking for cloudy weather, but it worked out perfectly. So overall, year to date's been a pretty good year, average, or where would you put this year?
I would say this year's been a really good year for everything. You know, moisture came in really even. Our tonnages have added up pretty decent. I'm low on hay acres this year, so that's kind of hard to judge. But what we did get is good quality and fairly good tonnage. So I would say this year is an ideal year, to be honest. Got rain timely manner, and then dry spells for a timely manner, so that we can get our crops in and out. And so I would take another year like this.
Well, that's good to hear. Last couple of years have been a little bit of a challenge, but it's good to hear that things are going good.
This is Thomas Heckman from West Central Ohio, doing my August update. It's August 15th. So the weather for the past couple weeks, July was dry. It was hot and humid. We had a couple pop-up storms. We would catch rain. It's kind of crazy. The home farm here where we got the dairy, it's 102 acres, and it's split about in half with a creek. And there's half on the east side, and we got east side and west side. On the east side, it's half pasture, and we got some corn over there. And we would catch rains over on that side, and we wouldn't get any on the side where the buildings are and all the pasture is. And it was just, we could put posts out there, step in posts, put them in, just push them right in. And then over here on this side, we had to find a crack in the ground. There's that much difference. It just shut off right at the creek. But some of our farms one farm in July got 9 inches of rain. And another one, my dad's place, he got maybe 9/10 if he was lucky. So, but at the very beginning of August, we caught some rain. And that really turned everything around. Corn was tasseling. So that hit it just right. We got the hay pastures really greened up, so we're sitting pretty good. Got hot and dry there for a little bit for the month of July, but we caught some rains here, and then we caught some again. Beginning of this week, we got another 1 3/10, and that really just kept things going. So real happy for that. For field work, we got our tritted cow combine. Did 65 bushel an acre. I'm happy with that. First time I combined it while I was really trying to get yield. I wanted to combine it. Made a bunch of straw, had some red clover underneath it. Looks really good. We clipped the stubble, so red clover's coming back. I might make that here another week or two. I don't know. It's thick. It looks nice, so I'm happy about that. I think that trip, I know I can yield better. There were spots in the field was thin. We had semis truck our manure over there from our dairy pit, and it was too thick, the manure, and they couldn't get a good spread on it. So you could tell unevenness in the field, almost looked like tile lines, short tile lines. So if I can get a better job of better manure spread on there, more even, I think I can gain a lot more yield on that. The corn looks awesome. It's tasseled, pollinated, roasting ears. We got one farm that's a lot drier than everywhere else. It's a little bit of bottom 2 leaves are yellowing, but it still looks good. Actually, yesterday my seed sales was out here, and we just went and looked at it all, and I'm real happy. So that's probably some of the best corn we've raised. So we're looking forward to chopping some of that, and we'll shell a lot. The oats, we combined it. It didn't do worth a crap. It did like 30 maybe. Wasn't good. It was grass. It was short. This year, all the oats around here just weren't worth a crap. Nobody I talked to had any good luck with it. The pain in the butt, the foxtail was kind of up in the heads, is real short. We got it combined, so we'll have some for some calf feed. Baled the straw, had a lot of grass and some clover in spots. This was on a wet farm. I put clover underneath it, like a 2-year wet red clover. So we baled that straw dry. Should make some dry cow feed out of that. And we cut our new seedings again, and they did good. It was weedy, a lot of grass because it sat there dry in July, but we got it cut and got some rain on it here, and the alfalfa's coming on strong. It really took off again. Same with that clover under that oats. So we're real happy for that. We're hoping to make one big cutting off of everything again before fall, and hopefully get enough hay to get through this winter. We'll probably be feeding heavier corn silage and stuff just because we're short on hay this year. Grazing the cows, 4th time over now. I'll be starting another week 10 days. I'll be starting the 5th time. It's really nice now. It was July, got dry. I was trying to stretch, went from maybe like a 28-day rotation to more like a 35-day rotation. Kind of stretched my paddocks out so they could eat it. We just grazed at night, didn't run them out during the day, fed a lot more silage on the bunk. They didn't want to eat. So just hot and humid. We've caught these rains here. Pasture really jumped up, and cows, we got down probably around 50 pounds of milk there. Got hot, and which we just dried some off and stuff, but we're jumped up now, at least 55 pounds of milk. The neat thing is, and I don't know why, we're running like a 3/8 fat here, and 3 protein, but that's the best fat I've ever ran while grazing in summer like this. And the only thing I don't know if it has much. They say forage sorghum helps with your fat, and I think it does, but it's still kind of crazy to run that good here with Holsteins. So I'm happy about that. Milk production is down, but should make up some money on the fat. The cell count's up some, but boy, it always does when it gets hot. So we're fighting that a little bit. I don't know. We're averaging 150 for the month so far. I mean, we like to keep it closer to 100. And everything around here, crops look pretty good. You got some later corn fields that didn't get rain. Now they got some rain. They're uneven and stuff, but guys will be chopping them. And so stuff, I don't know. Things are kind of, with COVID, I don't know. They say it's getting worse, but not sure if it really is. Seems like most people were back to doing stuff. I don't know. Don't know really what to believe on that here. And then so doing some extra work around the farm, trying to get some stuff done. I got a high school boy at Helston before he goes back to school, so we putting some new mats in the free stalls and putting them in. I've got half of them done. And then I was trying to get some stuff lined up because I want to put a new milking parlor in the barn, but worried about getting some treated lumber because I sent Dad to get some lumber from the lumber yard the other day, and they didn't have much. So we'll see. Hopefully I can get some materials. It seems like stuff's in short. Certain things are in short supply. So see if that happens. Otherwise, I guess I'll just wait. But yeah, things really turned around. So we're pretty happy here.
So Thomas, you're saying that you can't find building materials for your parlor?
Well, they got materials, but treated lumber's in short supply. Our breeder's building a garage on his house, and his siding, when he did his house, it took him 2 weeks to get it. Now it's going to take him 4 to 6 weeks, maybe, to get it. Just, I don't know if these places shut down because they thought everything was going to slow down real bad. And people, I don't know about other areas, people around here just kind of keep clicking and going at her. And, yeah, it's just kind of, they say lumber prices went up 30 to 50%. Mm-hmm. I know someone's building a house and they can't get stuff to finish their house. They're building a new house.
Wow.
So,
what kind of parlor are you putting in?
I think I'm going to put in double 10 parabone. We got a double 5 herringbone now. And I was thinking swing, but I found a bunch of used equipment that's been real nice. It's newer stuff. There's a lot of stuff out there right now, so I think I'm just going to put a double in. Found some used nice parabone stalls that are slightly used, not much, like 2 years. So I do all GEA equipment or surge equipment just because that's the dealer that's local we work with.
How soon are you hoping to
I need
be
a bigger
milking
tank.
there?
I was hoping 6 months, but it'll probably be a year.
You're doing all the work yourself?
No, I'm doing some. I'm going to hire the concrete work out and probably some of the install stuff. Just whatever I have time, I'll do a little thing. And then plan is, I'll get the big stuff, and then they'll be like, hey, run these wires or do this or do that. And I'll do the small stuff, and then I'll have them come back and do some more. So we're just at the starting of it. We haven't really. I'm trying to get someone lined up to do concrete, but right now it's busy time. They're all trying to get stuff finished up. I don't know. So stuff's just kind of crazy right now with everything.
Yeah.
So, but I got a tank already, so I got a lot of stuff. I just got to actually get really started on it and get some people here to start working on it.
Are you building a whole new building, or is this going into the existing barn?
It's going into the existing, I guess we call it our big old barn, but it's not. It's in a different spot than the parlor is now. That way, I want to move it. The one we're in, there's a lot of concrete walls and everything's just getting really old. My grandpa poured it, so that was, 62 years ago or something, and it just needs. It would take too much to update it, so we're putting it in another spot of the barn that kind of fits in better with the freestall barn and cow flow and everything. Then we won't have to fight around. We don't have no problem. We can milk in that parlor till we're ready to switch. We won't have to fight, moving back and forth. Mm-hmm. So the big push is I need a bigger tank, and the money it costs me to put a tank in, a bigger tank where I'm at, because I can't bulkhead it out the wall or anything because of driveways. And then if I got to add a milk house on, I could, by the time I spend all that money, I can put the new milk house and then put a parlor in. I know it costs more money, but I hate to put that money in an order when I'm going to have to do something eventually down the road here. So now I figure hopefully if I do this, if I milk, I'm 30, I'll be 34 here. If I milk for 25 more years, that should last me my milking career. Then my kids got to worry about it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. So, well, hey, Thomas, thanks so much for taking the time for giving us an update, and glad to hear you're getting rain, because here in Central Ohio we are not. So thanks for taking the time today.
Yep, thank you.
This episode is brought to you by Soil Biotics.